Welcome to episode 3 of PAO Fans International podcast. We have Sturge, we have Peter, and we have Nick discussing updates regarding Panathinaikos, both the football and the basketball side. We've got quite a bit to discuss, a lot of discussion points in terms of our friendlies, players that have incoming. We did just get, as of now, a departure on loan, and we do have some big basketball news coming in this podcast. Let's start off with the results of our friendlies. So we did play 6 friendlies so far, 5 wins. They were in Austria. We took one to Athens and we drew that. Results were winner Victoria 4-0, Austrian second division team. Rogaska, a promoted Slovenian team, 3-1. Petrolul, which is a first division Romanian team, 2-0. 1948 Sofia, which is a Bulgarian team, 1-0. Aiklatnaka from Cyprus, 3-1. And at home, Apol Bishava, 1-all. What did you guys think of the results? Have we been taking the approach to this?
All about minutes in the legs. Get the fitness levels up, team chemistry, continuity, new combinations. Results are almost not irrelevant, but they're not they're not the be all end all.
Yeah, so for me, it's about watching the individual players, how they're performing, new signings, what's any sort of sign of how they're going to mix with the team. The results, yeah, it's nice to see a win, but really it's about, for me, how is the form of certain players that we've talked about in our first podcast? How are they going in the friendlies and what are they showing for the year ahead?
Yeah, definitely. We saw, minutes in the legs. We did see the return of Zeka and Aitor. They're just getting started. I don't think they're at 100% yet. They're probably at that 80-85% mark, just the way that they're playing. Just they'll really give them more of the limited minutes. We saw a different role for Aitor. He was more on the right wing. He was generally on the left wing when he was fit playing during the season, but it looks like just a new approach, put him on the right wing. With the friendlies, like when you look at the results, it's good to see the minutes. We did see a common theme across all the games where we really did dominate possession. We had a fair few opportunities in all the games, dominated the game. I think we're looking for a similar style where we rely heavily on our wingers. So having a fit Aitor is very key to our campaign.
One thing I will say about the games is that it looks like we're certainly trying to be more attacking, create more chances. I think the last game is Hapoel, where we probably weren't that good in terms of the way we connected from defense through to attack. But it had the heat wave in Athens, I think, when they were playing right. So there's only so much you can expect in those sort of conditions. But certainly you can see Jovanovic is trying to get them creating more chances. It's a matter of then, with a real strong team, when we play the Dnipro or other teams in Europe, how are we going to fare against them? Are we going to be able to create? Or alternatively, is our defense going to hold up? And that, for me, is the question mark, which I look forward to chatting to you boys tonight about.
Yeah. What about yourself, Nick?
I think Peter's on the right track there. And as you said as well, Sturge, wingers are going to be key, especially Aitor. This year, though, I don't think he's going to be alone. I think we're really going to see the best of Mancini this season. And then it's what Peter said, more of a cutting edge. So not only scoring goals, just in general, creating more chances. This is where our new signing that we're going to speak about shortly, Vilena, I think is going to be crucial. We've also got, Bernard. Juricic has really impressed in the preseason hitouts. He's someone that can make a difference. He's someone, as he's shown in his performances, he can make a difference.
So, Nick, you mentioned Mancini, and I thought I'd just start off with zeroing in on him. I wasn't that impressed with what he's shown so far in the preseason games. Now,
more off the back end of last season.
Yeah, no, he certainly, last season he was great. I think he was the lead in the assists for the season, if I'm not mistaken. But this preseason, The first few games, I don't know. Maybe he's struggling to keep up the pace. He's overly tired. He didn't have a good preseason the year before. I don't know. But I can't say that he set the world on fire for the first few games anyway, not in the friendlies.
Speaking of the position, who has been all right, Verbitz.
Yes. So
If Jovanovic can tap into him, that's like a new signing.
Yeah, definitely agree there. We did see, if whoever followed the friendlies or if you're just listening for the first time, in the friendlies, I found Verbic really finding form. I think this is the player that we look to sign. I think he's actually come one year too late in that form, but he's finally arrived. He's finding that confidence. Hopefully, whatever he went on in his personal life is behind him. He can start fresh because we're going to need him. And what he's shown in preseason was good. And Juricic you can tell he was a class player. He's a very class signing, and he will do well to unlock defenses, create space, create active attacks and attacking scoring opportunities for our threatening players.
That's where I think he's going to be key. You hit the nail on the head with unlocking those low blocks, especially domestically.
Yeah, and you find a lot of those teams in Greece just love to sit back, so he's going to
Kharafia as well.
Key.
What about our strikers? Spora.
We need to sign another striker. That's now got to be. Now we'll speak again about our other new signing, Yedvay, but I'd love another striker in.
Yeah,
he's been still injured. Sporar. Is this his ceiling? I don't know. The Swedish bloke. We need more. Gambetsis, I'm not even going to count.
Nah, I agree. Look, Yeremayev, the Swedish bloke, he's not first choice material. I'll be the first to put that on record. But he's actually shown a little bit more than what Spora has in the preseason games, which I don't know if that's a good thing for Yeremayev or just reflects poorly on Spora, right? But geez, yeah, not overly confident about our striker position right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think in our podcast we mentioned the disappointment Spora really had in last season, where he had 8 goals, 4 goals open play, and 4 goals from the penalty spot, and he really needs to step up. And in this preseason against teams that are really below 1 or 2 levels below us in terms of standard, he just looked more at their level, while the Swedish striker, he had 2 goals. I really, the second one was a really nice hit, but that first one was a nice classy composure from what you expect from a striker. It was a really good finish, but at the moment he is pushing Sporter. He will push Sporter if Sporter is not delivering, and I assume Jova will start making those calls. I don't see Sporter lasting if he's not delivering.
Is it enough though? Having Yeremayev and Sporar and Ioannidis, that's not enough for me.
I don't see any signings for strikers right now. A lot's gonna depend on the Dnipro leg. What happens then? Because usually the bigger players from there on start getting targeted. Those without clubs, those are trying to push for a last minute move out of their own clubs. But like I said, I'm not.
It's going to be different this season. It's going to be something we haven't had for a long time. The aim, for me personally, I want to see us playing European football of any stage in the knockouts. That means into the new year, into 2024. That means we've got to get it past a group stage, basically. That's going to be potentially a Thursday, Sunday sort of season with 2 games a week.
Yeah, and when we look at that, going into the season, I still think, personally, I think Forty will be our starting striker. There's for me, there's no doubt about it. I think when you look at last season, he offers a bit more, offers a lot more support to the wingers. He gets more involved, more of an unselfish game, and just needs to find that confidence, shooting more, just being that threat of a striker. But Sporter plays that unselfish type, and
I do think he'll get better though. As in add goals to his game. I do. Will it be the goals, enough, in the numbers that we need? That's to be seen, but I do think he'll improve. He'll be better for last year, and it's going to hinge on the guys around him that we touched on with Juricic, Aitor, Palacios, even Klein Hazlett. He might make a difference. He's had a full preseason with the club under his belt. There's Tsedin. It's going to be all these attacking options around the striker that are crucial too.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Kleinheiser, so I'm really hoping there's some good things. We mentioned Sporter not really not really doing well for us. Peter mentioned Mancini. Is there anyone else you kind of feel a bit underwhelmed in the preseason?
Yeah, for me, Ruben Perez. He was great in his first season. He started dropping off last, and I found in his preseason games, he's certainly not at his best. Now, he's getting old, but I really worry that he's our number one first choice, number 6, or defensive mid. And yeah, I'm starting to be really worried about that position. Now, the new signing, Vilena, may play that role and fill that, but I don't think we got him for that. I think we got him to be the number 6 of the box-to-box midfielder.
Yeah, he's
the 8.
Central box-to-box midfielder.
Yeah.
I probably would add maybe Palacios to the list as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll probably find Palacios. I think that hamstring injury last season, I don't know what's happened to him ever since that hamstring. He's had a full preseason now. I expected him to at least be fit, running, just really be threatening. But I've probably found our wingbacks and more threatening. So my surprise really was Vayanidis. Vayanidis showed a lot more in attack. Getting up there, being really an attacking out there. He needs to just refine his passing, sort of crossing game. He can hit the odd one a little bit over, too hard, inaccurate, but he's someone for me that has really impressed.
He's going to get a lot. This is going back again to the Thursday-Sunday scenario. He's going to get a lot of minutes this season.
I think, though, you probably won't play the European games because he's not solid enough defensively.
Well, I was going to ask you guys, do you think he'll start against Dnipro in the first leg? I was going to say no for the first leg, but I was going to ask you guys.
I don't think so, and sorry about that. The flag just fell down. I don't think so, but I do think that he will get some European games. I have no doubt about that, provided that we do progress. I do think that there's opportunity for him to just really step up his game. We talk about Kotsiras. Kotsiras is not the attacking player that we're hoping.
No.
I don't think he offers as much. I don't think he offers the pace that Vayanidis does have. I think we found him off the pace, especially at the end of last season. But
you know what, though? Especially in the European games, it might be worth sticking with Kotsiras. Then if we play on the left flank, especially if we go with Mladenovic, who's more adventurous going forward, then we've got more of a base. If we go one of the fullbacks bombing on with the other one sitting back, it might give us a bit of balance.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
what I'm thinking he's going to do for Europe.
Yeah, that's a good call.
And then we're still going to see a lot of Vayanidis throughout the season.
Hopefully. There was a reported offer for him from Grasshoppers, which I think was a measly 500,000. I think ridiculously low. Hopefully we knock that back. We're not in a time for selling as well, but for me, he did really impress. The way he was really attacking, getting to those trending positions. He even got a couple of goals himself, I believe. So yeah, he did very well. Anyone else that you kind of liked during we obviously mentioned Juricic, he's a class player. Anyone else you felt stepped up?
Yeah, I think the youngster in defence, Fike, the Albanian. I think everyone's talking about him as a 17-year-old. He's really shown some class.
Yeah, signed a contract.
Yeah, signed his
contract.
Yeah, he did. That's right. Yeah, good call.
Yeah, very good. There's quite a bit of raps about him. So let's see what comes of him. We're heading into the the next friendly. I think in a day or two against Rayo Vallecano, a Spanish team. It will be quite the test. So will be the final hit out before Dnipro. We'll talk about the lead up now for Dnipro. We got the Vallecano game first, last friendly before the Europe tie. Dnipro. What are your thoughts so far? Have you been following much what they're doing, what they're not doing?
I haven't with Dnipro, no.
No, neither have I. I mean, I've purely been focusing on our team. They have made a couple of signings, is probably as much as I know.
So I've had to do a lot of reading on them. A lot of their transfer work is domestic. I think they also signed one player that played for Volos. A lot of their, and they had a big turnover. I think like 13 players out, 16 players in. So they had a massive turnaround, and mostly it was domestic players. I looked at their fixtures in terms of what they're doing in their preseason, their trial matches. A lot of it is just against their own teams, own Ukrainian teams. So there's not much form to go off. We've got the first leg against them, which will be played in Slovenia, which will
Slovakia.
Slovakia, sorry, which will have a big Greek contingency there from the Greek fans. Their last friendly was the 14th, so I'm not too sure if anything else has been reported or any behind doors preparation. But even after their game with us, a few days later, they have their own domestic game of their first game of the season. So, and then a few days later, they come to Athens. So, I'm don't know where they're at really at their preparation, where their mindset is, what they're going for. So I can't see us not really taking the game to them. Whether we convert those chances, what chances we create, who starts, I think we'll have to rely on Juricic really to spark something as well.
Well, the one thing we haven't talked about today, but we did talk about in our first podcast, is Bernard. And for all accounts, he's doing a lot better in his preseason compared to last year. Maybe Juricic has been the motivation for him. Maybe he's finally get to understand playing in the midfield because he is more of a left winger. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets a potential start in Guernsey against Dnipro.
Potentially.
That's a good point. Goalkeepers, obviously, we know who's going to be the goalkeeper, Brignoli. The back line's going to. We should go through our 11 for that.
Yep. Yeah,
for the game. I mean, centre backs. Would you agree? Magnussen and Schenkerveld will get on our new signing. Shortly, but it'll be the new captain Schenkerveld with Magnussen. Surely.
Yep. Agree.
Fullbacks. We were saying Kotsiras. Stergios was saying Vayanidis.
I was hoping for Vayanidis, but I do feel like it will be Kotsiras.
I think it'll be Kotsiras. Then on the left, I think he's going to go Mladenovic over one card.
I agree.
Yep.
Then what? 4-3-3, so 3 in the middle. He's going to pick his favourite, Ruben Perez.
Yep.
Perez.
Agree.
The 6, then the 8. Is Vilhena ready to start? I don't know. Hopefully he plays the Rayo Vallecano friendly.
I think for the 6. No, sorry, for the 8, I got a feeling Cheran. You love him.
I think
he's been a favourite.
And maybe
Juricic.
And Juricic in the number 10.
Yeah, then the wide Aitor on one wing.
Nah, I don't think he'll play Aitor. I think he'll play Palacios.
Yeah. And Verbic.
Bernard and Sporta.
I think it'll be Verbic on the left, Palacios on the right, because Jovanovic does love Palacios, even though he hasn't quite delivered lately. For me, the big question mark striker.
I think he'll start Sporta.
Yeah, I think so too.
Still not playing.
I
think Sporta will get the job.
So we're not that far off in terms of our starting 11s. Maybe just
there are options. There are options. The squad still needs beefing up, but there are options. As we said, but another striker is for me is key. I still think we need another centre back in as well. Another midfielder wouldn't go astray either.
Do we offload though? I think now we've got four strikers, 4 attackers. So we've got.
Let's say Gambetis is gone by deadline.
Gambetis and Foti Ioannidis. We have to trim. We definitely have to trim. Gambetis will probably.
Let's assume he's gone by the end of August.
But, you keep Sporta. Sporta will be on big money. You probably want a good striker to challenge him, and you probably need to pay money at this time to bring a good striker? Do you want to keep two strikers that are on, pretty coin, and you can't really accommodate one or the other? You have to really accommodate one. I'd look to cut my losses with Sporter if I was to cut one of the four. Kabetti's contract is going to expire at the end of the season. He's not really on that much, I don't think. Sporter is the one on decent money, and
yeah, it's a good call.
I
don't think that'll happen though, but yeah. That's what I would be doing.
He needs an offer from another club, really, Sporter, or else he's not going anywhere.
Are there any Saudi clubs out there?
Well, we did get rid of Makeda, so who knows? Something may come our way.
But yeah,
in terms of other players to cut, Trouillet going on loan is a great move because I thought he's definitely not going to get much time in terms of midfield minutes.
Yeah, he's come back from the ACL injury, so whatever agreement we have with Volos, minutes, anything like that, I'd love him to get a proper opportunity, see what he's all about.
So we're gonna need Sokai,
and he's gonna be in a good solid team. Volos were probably the best of when you talk about Super League. There's your top 5 mainstays, and then it's everyone else. So they're all the best out of everyone else, and I really hope he does play, and we get to see a bit more of him and see if he's worth bringing back. The ACL was very unfortunate. It was on his debut against Lamia, and just rather unfortunate.
But I don't think, just going through the squad, there's not really anyone else I'd say that should be. We're going to need everyone.
We're going to need Sokai. Then, in an ideal world, we sign another centre half and we let Fikai go on loan. In an ideal world.
In an ideal world, I'd love to see Fikai get regular minutes elsewhere. You're right.
Yeah.
Get him developed and bring him back next year.
I think he'll play in the B team. I think they'll put him into the B team.
See, the other thing is just before we announced this Yenvai signing, we got rejected by Brabets from Aris, which is, there's no way we're negotiating 24 hours within, we get rejected only to straight away announce the next signing. We're talking to a few, which tells me we're going to bring another centre back in.
Yeah, I would agree.
Look, if we're talking to multiple at once.
I think we're glad that the Brabec signing didn't happen. I think he's just a little bit
I agree.
off. I think rather spend money elsewhere.
How's his form though? He negotiates with us, agrees in personal terms, and then when it falls through, makes an announcement. I love Artie. I'm staying with Artie. No worries, mate. You stay where you are. We don't want you.
And no offense to any Artie fans, but you're playing in a European tie. You're in the Champions League qualifier. You're probably going to play in Europe. We're going to play in Europa League. Like the ambitious club here is us. Your club, the Artie's club, is known for quite a bit of a turn gate where players come in one season, gone the next season. There's no consistency year in, year out. It's the same thing. They track some good players and then just can't keep it together. Right. But yeah. The Dnipro game, it is approaching. It is 10, 11 days away. It's going to be interesting. The times are constantly changing when the kickoff times are, but I think it's like a 4 a.m. time slot for Australian Eastern Standard Time. Not very friendly time for us here, but yeah, we'll be.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm so looking forward to it, though. I miss these games. Like you used to see the other Greek sides this time of year getting ready, and then it was us with our financial issues watching on, but I'm so glad we're a part of it again. And for me, I know there's pessimism, there's areas to strengthen in the squad, but I'm so bloody excited for this tie.
And it's a winnable game.
Exactly. That's right. It's not like last season. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, the reading that I've done, it's hard to pick what their form guide is really. Like they've had all wins, but they're really versing domestic Ukrainian team, so not much to go off there when they've had a big turnover. So my gut feeling and heart, brain are telling me where we will win, we will progress. It's obviously starting 11 and what kind of fashion we do it. Will we just make it difficult for ourselves? Will it be like a Slavia Prague where we really turned it on and then we just fell apart? Really, the game was there for the taking. We just fell apart.
But the Slavia game as well, we had the referee. He did us no favors at all.
But we really played well up until after, though. I think it was once they went down to 10 players, we just fell apart. We couldn't string a pass together, and they just were really on top of us. But when it was 10 on the 11, we were giving it to them. Like, we even forced them to get a red card, and we were playing very well up until that point. I don't know what happened there, but we just shot ourselves in the foot in that game. But I really think that we were a lot more mature this year in terms of that European competition, the coach, the players, the style, and I'm feeling confident. I won't give a score, but I'm feeling confident.
Well, first things first, let's see what the starting 11 is against Rayo Vallecano in a friendly. And that'll probably be a good guide as to what Jovanovic is planning for the Dnipro.
Yeah, definitely. And what about you, Nick? What do you think?
I'm gonna stick my neck out and give a score prediction. we don't score many, we don't concede many. By that logic, 1-0 to us in the first leg away.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
Yeah, definitely take any win because away goals, there's no more. That doesn't count.
That's right.
Any win is good. So we'll talk about now player signings. So we'll talk about the outgoings. We just had that announced. So if you tune into the podcast tomorrow when this goes live, we found out that Truellet has been given the green light to go on loan to Volos, which will help him with his development. Two decent incomings. Let's discuss. First of all, Vilena. So Vilena is a former Netherlands international. He's played in Russia for Krasnodar. He played in Spain, Italy. A lot of experience. He was 1 point as well. Described as a big talent coming through Feyenoord as a young kid. Plays that midfielder, left footer. Plays that number 8 position. Box to box kind of midfielder. I'm expecting good things. I think he coming from, just playing up from Italy, good, solid league. So he's got international experience. I think he's going to settle in very nice to this team. I think he'll add a lot of energy to what I've been considering an aging squad. Like you got Perez next to him. I think, our defenders are 30 odd. Juanca, if he plays, Mladenovic is also 30. So I think he's going to be a lot of energy in that midfield.
Yeah. I think out of the 5 new signings, he's the pick of the lot. We've got a good player with a good pedigree. As you said, a Netherlands international with top 5 experience in the leagues. He's played in Europe, and we've got him, in theory, at his prime. And again, if Jovanovic, who's the key in all this, if he can get him playing in his best position and get the best out of him, we're going to be the huge beneficiaries of this.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nick. He's definitely our best signing so far this summer transfer period. And that at perfect age, played a full season in Serie A last year. He's injury-wise, he's been not bad throughout his career. So it's a transfer that I'm very excited about. I can see him making a big impact for our season.
It's almost as if he's come a season too late for us to help us last season. Because if he's going to play in that midfield with the aging Ruben Perez, we could have done with him. It looks like he's got more to his game going forward than a Courbelis.
Yeah. And I think that's what we lacked. Like,
yeah.
Well, as great as Courbelis was, he was not an attacking outlet. He wasn't the player that's going to provide assists and goals. I think we recognized that as well, that he played with his heart on his sleeve. And this was a signing, like typical, came out of nowhere. It's not like the ones that have been lingering.
And you know what? They're the best signings, though. The most enjoyable, the spur of the moment. And they're the ones, as you said, that the journos don't see coming, which is the sweetest.
No,
remember Linga that we spoke about in our first episode?
Yes.
Like they get boring, it drags on. This guy, as we said, he's in his prime. In theory, great pedigree, and it's come from the blue.
And a much better pedigree than Linga as well.
Yeah, that's right.
We would have been celebrating Linga as a signing. This guy's better.
Oh, by far.
Definitely.
By far.
So yeah, that one was out of nowhere. This one was almost out of nowhere, but there was a lot of media murmur, but it wasn't a long time one. Cannot pronounce his name. Croatian Tin Jedvaj. Am I right in pronouncing
I
it?
think so. I think
I'll
you
give
are.
you the thumbs up there, Sturge.
So my Croatian friends, I am sorry. Tin was labeled once a wonder boy when he was about 16, 17. He's versatile across defense, can cover left, centre back, right backs. He went from Dinamo Zagreb to Roma, Leverkusen. I just don't think what the moves that he made worked out well for him. Went to Russia, kind of fell out of favor. We have signed him on loan with a buy option. He comes in at fairly young, 26. I think it's a great signing. I think what we need is a very versatile player across the defense. We need someone that can stay fit, someone that can play. He's more seems like a ball playing defender, more not like your Bart and your Magnuson. I'm actually looking forward to signing. We did have one of our Croatian PAO fans not too overly hyped on him. Stated his reasons, which I understand, but I think we needed the defender. I think that was on the top of my list of a priority signing. What we needed. And we got a defender, younger. I think he's got a lot to offer to the team, and hopefully he can discover his own form as well.
Again, though, Brabec or Yenvai, who would you rather?
Easy,
No brainer, exactly.
It's a no-brainer.
Exactly. And I get that because that's in line also with some of the Russians were happy to see him go as well. But I think again, he's good pedigree, Croatian international at a good age, and I like what we've done. The try before you buy, so we've got him on loan. So if he's good, we'll spend that €1.5 million and make it permanent.
Yeah, it's a low risk signing.
He's going to come in and be the third choice initially, but hopefully he's someone. I don't think Brabec or any of the others that we were linked with had the ability to push our two starters. This guy hopefully can. I think he might.
And it's not to say that the push. I don't have a lot of confidence. Bart and Magnuson can last the full season without going injured.
That's right.
Last season injuries.
They're both over 30.
Yeah, they are 30, 31 at the moment. I think going on to 32, 31. But it's not just that. I think there's a lot of hamstring issues. Just a lot of tired bodies. The discipline wasn't the greatest, especially we saw from Bart a couple of lazy.
And do you know what? Again, and you'll agree with me, I know, it's an upgrade on Sarlia. He's essentially filling the Sarlia role.
Yeah, Sarlia was very disappointing when the season started. I think Slavia Prague, he really cost us that the away tie. I think there was some really slack defending, high up, not marking, just really bad passing, just not really aware of the situation. He did come well more towards after Magnuson's injury, but I do think he's a big step up, and I do feel like he will step it up. He's not going to ever get to that wonder boy level that he was once touted as, but if he can find that confidence and that form to play, limit his mistakes, because ball defenders can get a little bit happy when they're too confident. I think this is a really good signing, and he can, like I said, he can cover the right back. We've had a couple of question marks there over the defending, the pace. Vaianidis' pace is not a question, but more his defending and awareness. Even on the left-hand side, Honka's not young. Mladenovic, I've mentioned before that he does have a lot of discipline issues, a lot of yellows. So, Sideras did play quite a bit in the friendlies. I think he did not bad, but he's still young and not too sure if he's ready for this level or if he's at the level that we need him to be coming to the season. So I think it's a really good signing.
If I can maybe add a bit of a negative view on Jedvaj as a signing. Now, I'm usually optimistic about our signings, and I think every one of them is fantastic. And on paper, Jedvaj looks good, really good, and he's an upgrade on Salia, absolutely. But his form in recent seasons hasn't been fantastic, and I think that I think Nicky called it out. The Russian fans
happy to see
the back of him. And you do sometimes wonder that if a player getting €1 million a season, if it's salary, to then have a transfer for 1.5 million and go, hang on, that doesn't really sort of reflect what his value is, does it? So it's almost like, look, pay us something, but we're just happy to get him off our books.
I think if you go the Russian league, it sometimes can be a bit of a curricula. Players don't often experience the best of times there. They do have a different culture. They're in,
I think though it's again the try before you buy is good here. The loan, it's low risk in that sense. That's the best part of it.
Yeah, and which is great considering there's those question marks. Now, I think there's Alex who's in our chat who's his Croatian links that was a bit apprehensive as well, considering his form in recent years. So, look, great signing, not knocking the club. I think they've done well to get him. But it's one that I've still got that little bit of doubt in my mind until I see him prove himself on the field.
Okay. See, this is the other thing, and we spoke about the Thursday, Sunday grind in Europe and options and all that. He could be someone that comes on even off the bench to come in and play a fullback role for 10, 20 minutes of a game to see it out in Europe, more defensive option.
And he has played as right back before.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he does have that ability to play the left back. So he's a really versatile player. I kind of like those guys that can really slot into different positions, especially where we do have a couple of question marks in as well. So low risk signing. I think really that might tie up our defensive signings, especially with the question mark on Gunnell. What's going to happen there? We can play that right back, and I'd say we won't see any more signings up until after the Dnipro tie, really. There's no way we're going to make any signings or any announcements until we know how that tie goes. And then from there, I feel like there will be a big signing. I'm always a big fan of signing Greek talent. I'm wearing one right now that was considered one big player. I'm wearing a Manzios jersey for those curious, what PAO jersey I'm wearing. I'm wearing one Manzios because, it came as big raps. But, we haven't really signed a Greek player. Don't know what's out there, but hopefully there's some, we got our eyes on one or two to bring in as well. So
just don't ask for Hazu Giovanni to come back. That's all I'll ask.
Yeah.
My Mytilenian. Patrioti. But I think we'll see a lot more into squad development and squad inclusions and exclusions after that Dnipro tie. That will really dictate what our ambition as well. I think after that Dnipro tie, will if we win, we've got Rangers, PSV, Braga, Marseille. PSV just did sell their best player on that buyback. Xavi Simons back to PSG. That's a big blow to them. He was their best player. So those, I will probably discuss that at a later time in terms of, and that's if we qualify. But if we get to that tie, the club needs to be ambitious.
Correct me if I'm wrong though. Between the Dnipro second leg and the first leg of that game, like say we get through the next opponent, isn't it only a week?
I haven't looked at the fixtures. I
don't think it's a big turnaround.
Yeah, I think it's a week. I think you're right, Nick.
Yeah. It's definitely. I think it is. I could be wrong. Look, it's definitely not a big turnaround.
But the negotiations behind players and agents, clubs, and all that does happen. So if we're not obviously have someone lined up that we're talking to say, hey, we're just waiting on this. This is what our position is. You'd think the club would be in that position where they'd have a plan A for that, plan B.
For sure. And that's, again, the beauty of having Jovanovic there. It all goes back to him. Like we spoke about Papadimitriou, but especially that Vilena signing, you can't help but think that was Jovanovic.
Yeah, definitely. We don't know what kind of role Papadimitriou is doing at the moment because he's, we're seeing Jova's handprints all over it. This one,
That's
But
right.
the quality of all the signings so far, if you add them up, they're solid signings. Juricic, Mladenovic, Vilena, Jedvaj. Then they obviously got Zeka as well, but that's a different type of signing. But all the four I mentioned really are at a high level.
top
And
league experience, internationals, former internationals. They're not no longer, apart from Juricic, Mladenovic, the others don't really feature anymore. But they've got that experience, and that experience does carry over.
so we can't. Papa Dimitriou has to get some credit. Now, how much of it is him and Jovanovic? No, Jovanovic, no doubt, has been a big part of it, but so far he's executed not too bad.
Yeah,
so far.
And our signings, they won't be dragged out in the media. It's just going to come as out of nowhere. I think it's similar to what's happening in basketball, which we'll discuss soon. Although, I don't think I'm quite versed as much as I do like watching basketball, quite versed in that. But we can talk about the basketball where we've done a clean out and we've made plenty of splashes. We've created a lot of controversy in that. One of the biggest arguments as well. A lot of bad blood as well. But let's go through, our squad. We did lose Papa Petru. He did, which was a bit controversial in itself. He did sign for Fenerbahce. He had an agreement in place with Panathinaikos, DPG. According to DPG, he did come out and release a video really on the front foot, just absolutely shaming Papa Petru for the
Papayani.
Papayani, sorry. Papayani, sorry, not Papa Petru. He really shamed him on that. But let's talk about the big incoming. So we brought in Mitoglu. Mitoglu is the hybrid. He can play a power forward. He can play center. He had his recent 32-month suspension for a prohibited substance, which wasn't approved for. I think he used it for like his health or something, or that was his excuse. Got reduced to 16 months, which he has served. I think that's a great signing. Now this one has created the biggest controversy.
This is the one.
Lucas, 33-year-old, signed from the Eternal Enemies, Olympiacos. At 33 years old, he signed a 3-year contract. Now, a lot of Olympiacos supporters would say he's old, not worth it, but he was the best Greek player in EuroLeague. There's no debating that. We lacked a lot of attacking. When you review our games were really poor. Scoring, we were just very inefficient. You can't win games when you're scoring 8-9 points in a quarter. EuroLeague is still quite a defensive league, the way that FIBA rules are played, but the scoring is it's creeping a little bit higher and higher, but some games were really disastrous with how we're playing. Slukas comes in on a pretty good salary, and he can play as a point guard and a shooting guard, and his offense is just gonna really unlock the team in there. This one I'm very happy about because he's a former NBA player. It is Jerian Grant. He did play for Chicago Bulls, who I support. He played with the Wizards. He played with the Knicks. He went to Armani, so they're Armani Milan. They're a EuroLeague team. Didn't work quite well there. Went to Turkey in a Euro Cup playing team, and he was averaging 15 a game, 14.9, and he was the Euro Cup MVP as well. And we got him from there. Now we do
Ataman would have seen a fair bit of him in the Turkish league too, you think. So you say it's a personal choice.
Definitely. And he can play that point guard position. So Ataman would have seen him close up, and he's an NBA player. Although limited minutes with the teams that he was at, I did know about him because I do watch, a fair bit of Chicago Bulls when I can. But him coming to PAO, I think that's a really good pickup. Like I said, he was the MVP of the Euro Cup, so that is something. We did.
It's Vildoza as a point guard. He's an ex NBA as well.
Yes, he did play NBA. Kyle Guy, who we just signed as well, that got announced today or yesterday. He played for Sacramento Kings, Miami Heat. He played quite a bit of G League as well, but he had a really good season in Spain. Shooting guard, has a really good, he can play and he can shoot. Not too sure about the defense, but he can add a really good offensive punch, especially coming off the bench, where he will probably come off the bench, but he'll play a lot of minutes, especially in the Greek league, Euro League. He'll come in, get the minutes, help the starters rest. But I think that's a pretty good signing there as well. He got released from Badalona as Panathinaikos bought out that contract. Valencia, who tried matching their offer, matched the Badalona offer, or vice versa, and then we came out and bought out the contract. So that's a good signing. And finally, we did sign Ioanni Papapetrou. Papapetrou, yes. And yeah, that is a huge return. He left us. He went to Partizan, small forward, power forward. He was a massive loss. I think he's just a quality player.
So from what I read with Papapetrou, like he obviously had a fair bit of scoring responsibilities when he was with us.
Yeah.
But at Partizan with Obradovic, he probably played more of a defensive game, from what been led to believe.
Yeah, definitely. I did look at his stats and how he featured across his season at PAO and his season at Partizan. He was probably more high percentage shooting by a little bit, not a whole lot, but it was definitely significantly less touches on the ball and shooting. So I think Obradovic was reliant more on his guards and other players for scoring, while he can score. There's no doubt about it. He can score. So I think we'll see what kind of role Ataman has for him. And when you look at these signings, this is a very strong signings compared to what our American friends already discussed in the previous podcast. The addition of these guys to our current squad, and it's not done there. If rumors are correct, and what's leading to, there's a lot of talks about Dorsey, Tyler Dorsey, the Greek American player. There's rumors he got his contract bought out from Fenerbahce. So a lot of bad blood between DPG and Itoudis, especially the way Itoudis managed to convince Babayani to leave. There's a lot of bad blood, so I think DPG consider this personal. We've got a big splurge. We've gone on a big splurge for the basketball team, and that's thanks to the Aggelopoulos brothers, the owners of the Olympiacos team, really mocking Giannakopoulos. They really mocked him after the blowout win, and they can gloat. They've got every reason to gloat, but you just poked the bear and you poked the wrong bear, and he's just made some big moves now. I consider us one of the favorites, if not the favorite for EuroLeague with the team that we have. I can't see a team like any other team that has really strengthened to our levels. And it wasn't just mediocre signings. These are guys that can fit into most teams. And if the rumors are true, we haven't stopped there. There's like 3 more players to go. Dorsey may be one of them. You don't know about the prodigal son Hezonia still, Super Mario, if he's available. He's always been a boyhood PAO fan.
Although when he left last time, I know he got a better offer, right? So there's no surprise that he did leave, but he did make a comment about how Papapetrou, who's a 3, and he is as well, being the more favoured child of Panathinaikos. So now that Papapetrou is back, I do wonder whether Hizonia, if he was indeed approached, would that still be an issue for him? But for me, the biggest mystery is going to be around the center, the number 5. Who are we going to get now that Papayanni's gone to Fenerbahce? There was a rumor about Walter Tavares, who plays for Real Madrid. And yeah, to me, he's the ultimate number 5 in the EuroLeague. So if we can get him, geez, that's one hell of a signing.
Mitoglu can play the 5. It's just if he will be just the backup 5 or what kind of minutes he'll play. But there's still talks of, and Greek journalism just loves to sell papers. There's talks that, there's like an NBA player that we're still looking out for, some with NBA experience. So we'll just have to wait and watch his space. But I think now we can finally be once again excited about a good basketball team, especially in EuroLeague. I think EuroLeague, we've really disappointed. I can't remember the last, it's been 4 or 5 years at least since we've progressed to the next stage. We've really disappointed, and we're almost royalty behind Real Madrid and CSKA. I think we would be like the 3rd most with the EuroLeague titles on 6. So we're chasing that number 7. And I think
it's a new squad though. It's a new coach as well, so it will take a little while for everyone to gel together, and that's my only concern. That it's an unproven team. Yeah, great on paper, great signings. I'm glad to see it because Panathinaikos for me in basketball especially is a world brand, and I want our name to be right up there so even the Americans know who we are, which they do already. But just that the fact that we haven't formed as a team yet is the question mark. But Ataman's a proven coach, so
we've got
fingers
a
crossed.
few Greeks though, so that should provide that core there already.
Well, you got to look at the shooting guard. Point guard got Moraiti as well, who's a backup as well. So yeah, serviceable player.
We got Antetokounmpo. We got
Papa Petro. You got Mitoglu. You got Costa in the 5 as a backup as well, and then the core. So we can have a 5-player Greek team still be quite competitive.
Yeah, definitely. But we've added some really good weapons, and it's not just like these players that we randomly brought in. Matt Thomas, who had, I think that's what Kyle Guy really is. We brought him in like towards the end of the season. Couldn't really make much of an impact. I think the guys and the team that we're building will be making an impact from the get-go, whether they're starting more of the role-playing players coming off the bench, providing that support. I think we've got a really good team. And we're not picking up players, say, from Israel, France, those kind of teams. We picked up players that are top-tier players. Partizan, who was, pushed Real Madrid. They were 2-0 up in the Final Four. We've signed players that played in Spain. We've got a guy that was the Euro Cup MVP, NBA player. So I think on paper we're going to be very good, and I think the games are going to be more broadcast in America this season from what we've been told.
I think the American boys are saying ESPN's going to be showing their games. So that's EuroLeague's getting more and more popular. And again, that's where I love to see our club be right up there as a massive brand for the international community. And we deserve it, in my opinion.
We've had it here on KO for Eurosport before that. KO for years now.
Yeah, it was on KO last season. You're right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just quickly on the football side of things, it looks like Stan Sports won't be showing our Dnipro ties home and away.
Won't be.
Won't be. No.
That's quite disappointing, but yeah, I've got
to find a way.
Yeah, there's other ways. But yeah, on that basketball talk, the market's huge in America, especially with the European players there that are really dominating. You'd say that the top 3 guys, almost top, you can argue, top 3 guys are really international. So you got Joel Embiid, you got Jokic, who's probably the best of them, and you got, you know, Antetokounmpo as well, Yanni, who's probably, you know, very close to being the best of the lot. Like the three best are Europeans, so the Europeans are really showing the Americans. Then you got Luka Doncic as well. Got some class players, you know, in multiple teams. So I think there's going to be more appetite in America showing, and that's where our basketball team is really hitting the nail and signing really good players and building that team. So it's important that they build that market and become marketable.
You wear your Panathinaikos jersey in New York and you'd be recognized.
Let's hope that the American boys just wear it all the time like I do here. In Elwood, get a couple of beeps, just G's. But yeah.
We get recognised in our Panathinaikos jerseys in Australia, but usually it's our fellow Greek Australians that call us out.
Yeah.
Or the Italian fans who recognise the jersey as well.
Even just wear, like, if anyone's got a vintage Dominic Wilkins bowl jersey, that would thing. He gave us a bit of a shout out in a recent Q&A. So NBA Hall of Famer. So that's very good, and that's the kind of marketability that we need. Like, yeah, if I was the club, I'd just get him to really push us as well, especially if we're going to be on ESPN.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, do you guys have anything you want to raise? Anything you guys want to bring it up before we call it quits?
Are you on mute, Nick?
You're on mute, Nick.
Just bring it all on. The football, the basketball, bring it on. Panathinaikos is back.
Absolutely.
It is. We are back in the, you know, the top two Greek sports. You know, we do have the Vallecano game coming up. That is, I'll just bring it up quickly. We do have as current fixtures. Panathinaikos is scheduled to play in Athens against Vallecano. That is scheduled for the 19th, which is Australian local, which will be the 18th in Greece, 4 a.m., which would be about 9 p.m. in Greece, the Vallecano game, and then the same time in the Champions League qualifier, where 25th of July outside of Australia, so in Europe and in America, whilst in Australia, for those, will be the 26th at 4 a.m. So those are the next two games, and we're really looking forward to the tie. And I think our American friends will provide analysis post game. They'll do a podcast and discuss the game. So thank you, Peter. Thank you, Nick. It was great talking to you guys again about Panathinaikos, something that we do love and do enjoy. We'll keep the chat active, but yeah, really exciting times. We'll be following the games very closely. Any signings, please spread the word about the podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple iTunes. Apple iTunes is more of the audio version. Follow the socials. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So appreciate everyone listening in. Also give us feedback. Ask us any questions on our socials as well. We'll hope to get them addressed as well. And with that, thank you very much for listening in. See you guys.
Thanks, boys.